Buhari orders airstrikes on bandits and kidnappers. Enugu government denies Lassa fever has killed a nurse in the state. In international news, passenger plane crashes in southwest Afghanistan. And in sport, worldwide mourning as Kobe Bryant's daughter died in helicopter crash.
This is ANN News.
I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Nigerian Air Force officials have assured President Muhammadu Buhari of increasing the offensive against bandits, kidnappers and cattle herdsmen who have been wreaking havoc in remote communities around Dogingona Forest in Niger State. The president says the repeated attacks are a disaster for the country. In a statement on Sunday, the president said he had authorized the deployment of air power to back up troops and policemen that are in what he called the difficult terrain. He said this will help them in engaging the attackers operating in the forest area that borders Kaduna, Niger and Zamfara states. The statement says the Nigerian Air Force is setting up refueling facilities in Minna, Niger State to ensure proper support for the aircraft operations. The Air Force says improved Harmattan weather will enhance visibility and enable it to launch attacks soon. President Buhari has assured the communities who have been experiencing constant attacks that the country will not abandon them. Jigawa State's Ministry of Health says a medical doctor has been quarantined on suspicion of Lassa fever. The ministry's acting permanent secretary, Salisu Mwazu, says the victim, Dr. Anthony Etim, is being quarantined at the Isolated Infectious Diseases Control Unit at Jahun Hospital. Dr. Etim is a staff of the medical charity Doctors Without Borders. Mwazu says Etim developed the Lassa fever symptoms while on official duties at the internally displaced persons camp in Borno State. He said the state government is taking steps to prevent the spread of the disease. Meanwhile, Enugu State government has dispelled rumors that a nurse has died of Lassa fever in the state after treating a patient who had the disease. Permanent Secretary in the state's Ministry of Health, Dr. Ifeanyi Agujobi, had described the claim as false, unfounded and misleading. The official says people should go about their normal duties and not panic. He said the ministry will continue to strictly apply universal health precautions. He said there had just been one Lassa fever death in the state and all 23 persons who had direct or indirect contact with the deceased patient had been identified and are being monitored. The Federal Road Safety Corps FRSC, or your state command, is cautioning motorists against giving bribes to its personnel. Sector Commander Uche Chukura says people should follow bribe-demanding Corps officers to the FRSC office. Chukura warned Corps officers and others to refrain from taking bribes from motorists. She said offending Corps personnel risk losing their jobs. The FRSC boss gave the warning on Sunday during a Thanksgiving service organized by the Corps at a church in Ibadan. There are reports that Leah Sharibu, the adopted Dapchi schoolgirl, has given birth to a child after being converted to Islam and married off to a Boko Haram commander. Reacting to the report, Nathan Sharibu, Leah's father, said his main interest was in his daughter's return to him alive. Sharibu said in a television interview he would rather not comment on the report about his daughter, so he would not give credence to rumors. Leah Sharibu was adopted by Boko Haram from the Government Girls Science and Technical College, Dapchi, in Yobe State in February 2018. Now to runoff election results. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, has won all 3 seats, Senatorial, Federal House of Representatives and State House of Assembly in the rerun elections in Etian Udun Council area of Akwa Ibom State on Saturday. PDP senatorial candidate Christopher Ekmayong has defeated Senator Godswill Akpabio of the All Progressives Congress APC by more than 50,000 votes. In the House of Representatives runoff, PDP candidate Ekong Insikak scored 366 votes to defeat his APC opponent, who garnered 22,757 votes. PDP repeated defeat in the State House of Assembly rerun, where its candidate, Ese Umo, defeated APC's Inse Utuan. APC had accused the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, of bias and has announced on Friday its withdrawal from the rerun polls. Meanwhile, the tables were turned in Imo State, where the APC candidate for the Okigwe North Federal constituency, Mariam Onocha, defeated her opponent, Obina Onwubualiri, in Saturday's rerun poll. INEC returning officer Professor Frank Collins said 28 political parties contested in that election.
Coming up, African stories. Fighting erupts between two Libyan warring sides. And later, international news. Passenger plane crashes in southwest Afghanistan.
You are watching ANN.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. Now we go around the continent. The two warring sides in Libya said on Sunday fighting has erupted and that the country's east-based forces have advanced toward the strategic western city of Misrata. This development has now endangered the ceasefire agreements that took effect earlier this month. The fighting began just hours after the United Nations condemned what it called continued blatant violations of an arms embargo on Libya by countries the world body did not name. Libya has two parallel governments. Each enjoys the backing of various armed militias and foreign supporters. Libya is said to have Africa's largest oil reserves and the world's 9th largest. The government in the capital, Tripoli, is weak, but it is recognized by the United Nations. It also enjoys a level of support from Qatar and Italy. Military Commander Khalifa Haftar's forces, who are currently advancing towards Misrata, are supported by United Arab Emirates, Egypt, France, and Russia. Mali government says at least 20 soldiers have been killed by suspected Islamist militants in a pre-dawn attack on an army camp in Sokolo, central Mali on Sunday. Officials said the identity of the attackers are not immediately clear, but the government said in the statement terrorists entered the camp, killed the soldiers, and caused significant material damage. An official said the gunmen arrived on motorbikes and that all those killed were gendarmes or paramilitary police. A witness described the scene as complete chaos. Islamist groups with links to Al-Qaeda and Islamic State often operate in central and northern Mali and have used the area as a base to attack soldiers and civilians in neighboring Burkina Faso, Niger, and beyond. Ethiopia's state-owned news agency has reported that 7 million people are in need of humanitarian aid, including emergency food assistance in Ethiopia. The National Disaster Risk Management Commission spokesperson, Debebe Zawede, is quoted by ENA as saying the country will need more than $1 billion in humanitarian aid because Ethiopia has been facing a recurrent drought which is affecting the lives of the people and the country's economy. Debebe said initial assessment shows 6 million people are receiving food aid this year. Ethiopia is Africa's second most populous country with approximately 113 million people. Hundreds of Gambians took to the streets of Banjul on Saturday to call for the arrest of former President Yahya Jammeh. They also want his political party banned. They say there needs to be justice for the former president's victims. After 22 years of draconian rule in the Gambia, Jammeh fled in January 2017 after losing a presidential election to Adama Barrow. He had first refused to accept defeat before being forced out of power in a popular uprising. The protesters said the demonstrations were a message to the government to act fast in delivering justice by arresting and prosecuting Jammeh. The protesters didn't stop there. They were also asking current President Adama Barrow to honor his pledge to govern for only 3 years. Barrow has indicated he would now stay 6 years. He has set up his own political party to evade his old party, holding him to a 3-year pledge.
When we return, international news. Passenger plane crashes in southwest Afghanistan. And later, sports. Worldwide mourning as Kobe Bryant's daughter died in helicopter crash.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. Now to some events happening around the world. Chinese officials say that death toll from the deadly coronavirus outbreak keeps increasing and has the ability to keep growing. This is as the hard-hit province of Hubei announced 24 new fatalities and expanded measures to keep people at home during what is usually the country's biggest holiday season. Reporter Wuguzo has more.
The epidemic now is at a serious stage. The National Health Authority says the virus's ability to spread is increasing.
And it seems that the contagious or the spreading ability of the virus is getting stronger. And of course, we'll need more clinical data and the materials to reach a conclusion. And the quickened speed of spread of the virus has put extra pressure on the prevention controls.
But right now, there is a shortage of medical masks and protective suits.
Hubei province needs 100,000 protective suits per day, 3 million a month. But there are only 40 companies meeting Chinese standards in 14 provinces. They can produce only a total of 30,000 a day.
Central reserves have been released. The government says it will ensure higher production and buy more protective suits from abroad. Meanwhile, officials say 2,400 more hospital beds were added by Saturday night in Wuhan, and 5,000 more will be available in 3 days. 30 provinces and municipalities have announced the highest level of health alert, except Tibet, where no cases have been reported. The Ministry of Transport says on the first day of the Chinese New Year, train trips and flights were down by more than 40% compared with the same day last year. Meanwhile, the health authority says China is in close communication with the World Health Organization and other countries.
We have maintained a close communication with our counterpart agencies and embassies of Thailand, Japan, the UK, United States, and other relevant countries to share disease information and confirm suspected cases, and also responded to external concerns on a timely basis. We have enhanced collaboration with Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan, in addition to regular information sharing We have invited experts from these regions to visit the relevant medical institutions in Wuhan and have consultation and exchanges with the local medical workers.
Officials say now is the key stage. Experts believe the week-long Spring Festival holiday will be the best window for large-scale quarantine and disinfection. It's also a key stage for areas outside Wuhan to control the spread. Provinces are going to track down people coming from Wuhan over the last 15 days, register them, and do door-to-door checks. Special attention will be given to rural areas too.
Senior Afghan officials say a plane has crashed in eastern Ghazni province, but details are still sketchy as authorities sought to locate the aircraft wreckage in a mountainous province. 3 government officials said the plane was operated by Afghanistan's state-owned carrier, Iranian Afghan Airlines. Acting CEO of the airlines, Mevais Matsakwa, has denied those reports on Monday. The senior presidency official in Kabul says a plane had crashed near Ghazni province and authorities were still seeking details. Provincial sources said the plane was en route to Ghazni from Herat when it crashed in the territory under Taliban control. Taliban spokesman Zabihullah Mujahid said they were investigating the crash claims but were unable to comment further. Afghanistan's Civil Aviation Authority also denied reports that the plane was a commercial flight. The mountainous Ghazni province sits in the foothills of the Hindu Kush Mountains and is bitterly cold in the winter. 3 persons have been injured after 5 rockets crashed into a riverbank near the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad over the weekend. Security sources say 3 of the projectiles hit the diplomatic installation, with one striking the embassy's cafeteria. The incident came amid anti-government protests in the capital, Baghdad, over corruption, foreign interference in Iraqi affairs, and the presence of U.S. troops in the country. One protester was shot by Iraqi security forces. Prime Minister Adi Abdul Mahdi has condemned the rocket attack that targeted the U.S. Embassy. On the same day, a U.S. State Department spokesperson had called on the government of Iraq to fulfill its obligations to protect American diplomatic facilities. It was the 3rd such attack this month. Pro-Iranian demonstrators had attacked the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad in December to condemn U.S. airstrikes 2 days earlier, killed at least 25 members of an Iran-backed militant group. Democrats are calling for former National Security Advisor John Bolton to testify at President Donald Trump's impeachment trial. After an explosive report in his unpublished book alleges Trump personally tied Ukraine aid to an investigation of the Bidens. In the Sunday report, the content of Bolton's manuscripts were described as a rough account of how the former Trump official would testify should he be called as a witness in the Senate impeachment trial. The New York Times reports that in the manuscript, Bolton revealed that nearly $400 million in aid to Ukraine would not be released until it offered assistance with investigations of Democratic targets, including former Vice President Joe Biden and his son Hunter. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says it is up to 4 Senate Republicans to ensure that John Bolton, Trump's acting chief of staff Mick Mulvaney, and the others with direct knowledge of President Trump's actions testify in the Senate trial.
Up next, sport. Worldwide mourning as Kobe Bryant's daughter died in helicopter crash. Please stay with us.
Welcome back. This is ANN News in Sport. The International Federation of Football History and Statistics has ranked the Nigeria Professional Football League as the 57th strongest national league in the world and 7th in Africa. The Tunisia League One is ranked in #1 position in Africa, followed by Morocco, Egypt, Angola, South Africa, Zambia, Nigeria, and Algeria. The English Premier League is ranked as the strongest league in the world, with Brazil, La Liga, Serie A, and Colombia in the top 5. Basketball legend Kobe Bryant and one of his daughters, Gianna Maria Bryant, were among 9 persons killed on Sunday morning when the helicopter in which they were traveling crashed into a hillside in Calabasas, California. Bryant and his daughter were on their way to the A Sports Academy for a basketball game scheduled for Sunday. Gianna was expected to play in the game and Bryant was expected to coach. Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department says they were killed. Bryant is survived by his wife Vanessa and 3 daughters. His oldest daughter turned 17 a week ago. His youngest daughter is 7 months old. Bryant's death comes a day after LeBron James passed him as number 3 on the NBA all-time scoring list when he reached 33,643 points.
News is just devastating to everybody who knew him, known him a long time. And, you know, he means a lot to me, obviously. You know, he was such a great opponent. He had that DNA that very few athletes can ever have. You know, the Tiger Woods and the Michael Jordans. You know, it's funny. Yeah, this is a tough one. I don't.
Tough indeed. That is ANN News this evening. Thank you for joining us. For details on these and other breaking stories, visit our website, annafrica.news. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Have a pleasant evening.